If you follow this page, you'll know that my office and I have been working with other community groups to oppose licensing decisions for alcohol shops in the Manarewa area. And it's something I was also involved in before I got to be an MP in my work as a lawyer. It's something I'm really passionate about because I believe that there are too many alcohol shops in South Auckland and that the number of them is exacerbating alcohol harm in our families and causing more incidences of family harm, violence and other really nasty behaviour which wears on our communities and everyone has to pay for. I spoke with a community group called Communities Against Alcohol Harm. They're often an objector in their South Auckland applications, and here's what they had to say.
It's very clear to us that the health information says that if you make alcohol more accessible, it'll cause more harm. And that is well proven. It's very clear in the academic writing on this. So we've taken that really to heart and said what our mission is to ensure there's no more liquor stores in South Auckland that'll increase that harm. And what we're also trying to do is remove liquor stores, especially out of neighbourhood areas. You know, why do we have in our neighbourhood areas where we live, where we go to school, where we go to the dairy to buy ice cream, why is there inevitably a liquor store there as well? And one of our objectives in terms of that accessibility is there just shouldn't have ever been liquor stores in our neighbourhood shops, and we want to get rid of them.
Yeah,
it's the wrong place. Yeah.
I think about as well, one of the things that the current legislative framework requires you to do to object to those stores that already exist is to show that they individually are causing harm in our communities. You know, that say the liquor shop next to my house, or it's sort of 5 minutes walk down the road into Manarewa Central, it's causing my neighbourhood to drink more and to act poorly when we are drinking. What's your experience been of trying to prove that harm exists because of the individual stores?
I'll say something and then please others jump in, but we've kind of been on a journey with this. So when we originally started out 7 or 8 years ago, you know, we had to prove that this liquor store caused that harm. And the case law on this has changed over time. And what we need to show now, and is becoming clearer, is we just need to show that this is a vulnerable community. And the statistics generally that we collect through census data and other data shows that vulnerable communities are more vulnerable to alcohol-related harm. So we've kind of got to a point where that information is a good part of the reason why you shouldn't have another new liquor store in vulnerable communities. So we've kind of had this journey where now that's a key part of what we have to say, and that's listened to very carefully. And the more recent decisions we've had, particularly from the Auckland DLC, but even the Christchurch DLC says, yeah, you've got to be very, very careful about putting a liquor store into a vulnerable community. And in fact, they're just saying, no, that's not the right place for a liquor store. So it's been a very positive kind of journey, brought about to a large extent by all of our partnering together and working hard in this space.
That question about proving harm is really important in the context of the review of the Sale and Supply of Liquor Act, which is going on at the moment. Minister Chris Farfoy announced that justice and health officials are going to be working on what a new law can contain. I talked to Mere, the Māori warden, a little bit about how we could involve more communities, especially Māori and Pacific voices, in the process.
We're right in the middle of regionalisation at the moment, and they're talking about maybe changes to the Māori Community Development Act. The big question is, as Māori wardens, do we want that to remain? I'm fighting for the Māori Community Development Act to remain in place, because that gives us the mana to go out and do what we're doing to support our community, to support our whānau, and to look after the safety of people. But a lot of our wardens are not now doing that. So we have a hui coming up very shortly with Kristen Maynard, and we're going to be reviewing the mahi of the wardens around alcohol. So I'm looking forward to that, to see what's actually happening.
No, that's great.
Even though we're in lockdown, we've made it our business to go out and be heard around alcohol.
Communities Against Alcohol Harm do an incredible job at lifting up the voices of ordinary people who want to make objections and bringing together neighbours and friends to have a say in this process. Emily, who was on the call, has been an objector herself and has worked with her neighbours to bring these sorts of objections, and I'll finish with her comments about how you can get involved too.
I think my advice would be not to do it by yourself. Like, we've got a really good support team here with the Māori Wardens and with Communities Against Alcohol Harm. Like, you do need support to go through this process, so it is doable. So I've objected and I haven't been successful before, and it really sucks. But because we do it as a team, it's not so hard. At least you're doing something. Like, we've got to show that we're fighting back, and we've had successes as well, don't get me wrong. And I was just reflecting on what Grant said. It's great. I live in Mangere East, right? We're a vulnerable community, but I actually really hate that narrative. I think we're exploited. There's so many barriers. Sorry, Grant. There's so many barriers for us to fight this, and that's why we're exploited, and that's why there's so many freaking liquor stores around here. And that was from when I objected to a bit of a pokey den down the road. I asked my community what they thought, and my friend Tyrone was like, "We're not vulnerable, we're exploited." And that's where I got it from. I was like, oh my gosh, we so are. You know, like, the process is difficult, but I feel heartened that we are making progress. And like Grant was saying earlier, like, we don't have new liquor stores now in South Auckland because of the work that we're doing, and I think that's really great. And I want the law to change so a community person can just do this by themselves. But at the moment, you need us. So get in touch and we'll help you through it.